What's going on, guys? I didn't get a project video out this week, but I wanted to get out a little tip video, instructional video for you since I didn't get a project video out this week. I had finals all week at school, so my only shop time was about an hour down here Monday night after I posted the first part of the cabinet project, and there is little to no progress that anybody that isn't working on it could see. I'm in the process of planing down the panels, but that video will be live next Sunday at the normal time. But I wanted to get this little one out to you guys because I get this question asked a lot, which I don't know why, because I never show hand tool usage in my videos because it takes forever, and not a lot of people have hand tools or know how to sharpen them. So I'm just going to show you how I do it, and this will be a quick little video. This is everything that you need right here. You obviously need stuff to sharpen. I just have 3 chisels. This is one of my good ones. It's a Marples chisel. You can get those at, I think, Lowe's. These are also the ones that the Wood Whisperer says are his beater chisels. I picked these up at a garage sale forever ago. They're crap. I use them to open like paint cans and stuff, but I figured I'd show you that those can be just as sharp as these. This right here is a blade out of my block plane that I also got at a garage sale. This is one thing that you're definitely going to need. Well, no, let me rephrase that. You don't need this. It definitely makes your sharpening more consistent and a lot easier on your arms. This is a honing guide. Basically, you just slip whatever it is in here and you tighten down the set screw on the other side and you're good to go. This inside slot right here, this part is for chisels, and the other piece, the wider part up here, is for plane blades. I have a flathead screwdriver just to tighten that down, and then these are also things that I've made. When you sharpen, you make a bevel, and that's the big piece that you can see right there. And then you also make a micro bevel, which is the really shiny piece that you can see towards the end of that one. So I have a bevel and a micro bevel gauge that I've made just out of a couple pieces of plywood. These wooden block stops are for the bevels on my plane blades. And then I've also made some marks in there with some knives. I'm not so sure if you're going to be able to see that or not, but there's little marks in there for the bevels on the chisels. Something else that is optional is a couple of stones. These are shafted. I picked these up at Woodcraft not too long ago. These are pricey, I'm not going to lie, but I'll explain to you why I bought them. This is a flattening stone. This is Norton's flattening stone. You use that to flatten these. Usually I have a spray bottle with water, and it seems to have gotten up and walked away, so I have a cup of water and some paper towels I'm just going to use to soak these because these are water stones. I have a piece of plywood that I use to just sharpen things on. And like I was saying earlier, there is an alternate route to the stones. This is micron paper. In my stones, I have a 1,000 and a 16,000 grit stone. Now these are Japanese, that's why they're different grits. I don't know what that's equivalent to in the American sizes, but that's what those are. This 12 micron is equivalent to the 1000 grit, and this is equivalent to the 16,000 grit. Now as you can see, this is torn, it bubbles, pulls up, but the difference is that one sheet of this is like $2.99, and I think the 1000 grit stone was $60 and the other one was $80. So I started off with this. It's on a piece of plexiglass. If you can do it, I would suggest a piece of glass. It doesn't move around. This rips, but there's plenty of surface area for you to sharpen on. Now, you can get this stuff just as sharp on this as you can with the stones. It just takes longer and it rips, and it can be kind of annoying at times, but it can be done with this. So don't think that you have to go out and spend $100 and some odd on stones and a flattening stone just to sharpen your hand tools. You can do it for $5 or $6 because you don't need to flatten the paper, obviously. So all you need is these 2 sheets. This is what I started out with. This is what I had for years. And then I moved up to these finally, and I'm really glad I did. But once you get good at sharpening and you know what you're doing, then you can move to these, because if you don't know what you're doing, you can ruin these pretty quick. Since I have the stones, I'm going to use those. But the process is the same, aside from the fact that you don't have to flatten the paper, obviously. So the first thing I'm going to show you how to sharpen is this chisel right here, and we'll get right to that. Okay, so I have all my stuff on my board, and use the board just because this is messy. It's also wet. Metal shavings, metal dust, all that kind of stuff is going to go everywhere. This is just a bench that my dad bought from Woodcraft, and it's old, it's been used. So I could just sharpen on top of this if I wanted to, but I want to preserve it as long as I can. So especially if you have one of the Rubo workbenches that you've just built, you don't want to get it dirty. Get a piece of plywood, plastic, car mats work great. Anything to contain the water in the metal. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to grab a piece of paper towel, and normally, like I said, I have a spray bottle, which is much more convenient, but it seems to have gotten up and walked off. I'm just going to soak this. Oops. Get some of the water out of it. And just soak the stone. Okay. Just gonna move that around, get the stone wet. Alright, next thing, you're gonna want to set up your bevel. First thing you're gonna do is take your honing guide and just kind of get your chisel locked into it. Flat side goes up. I don't have this in there the right way. These things are fidgety, so just take your time. You want to make sure you get this right. It can make the difference between kind of sharp and you can shave with it sharp. So I'm going to loosen that a little bit. I'm going to make sure that I have my bevel gauge, and I'm going to line up the edge of my chisel with the mark that I have in the wood. Once I have that, then I can lock my chisel into place. Okay, so now this next part is pretty straightforward. This bottom right here has a tracking wheel on it. You're just going to take that and run it across your stone, making sure to wear it evenly, go across it in different spots. Don't just take one strip out of the middle every time. So I'm just going to set it down, and okay, so if you can see, before there was a very polished edge right along here. Now I need you to understand that this thing is sharp at this point. You could stop here and probably be okay, but we're going to move up to that 16,000 grit stone and polish it even more with a micro bevel. Alright, so the same process goes with the 16,000 as the 1,000 grit stone, so I'm going to kind of speed up this process on this one. Just going to wet it, spread your water. Alright, now you can take your micro bevel gauge and your chisel, which should still be locked into the honing guide, and very carefully loosen your set screw. Well, it's not really a set screw, your tightening screw, which seems to not want to loosen. There we go. Basically, you're just going to move this back just like we did before. I got this too loose. And once you're at your micro bevel spot, tighten your honing guide down again, and the same process as last time. Okay, and that might not even be picking up on the camera, but there is a very highly polished portion right back there that did just take some hair off, so pretty sharp at this point. But we're going to take it a step further. Alright, well, on the back of this chisel, you're going to lay it flat and then raise it a degree or two. Keeping as steady as possible. I'll polish the back of that chisel to an incredibly fine point. And this one seems to have been done wrong in the past. I'm gonna bring it over here to my 1000 grit stone and do the same thing. Okay, now that we have that back there, we can move back over to the 16,000 raise and just rub for a few strokes. So that chisel should be ready to go. Next thing to do is just try it out. Okay, so I have the chisel that we just sharpened, and we're just gonna take it for a test run. I'm using absolutely no pressure there. See if we can't get a shaving off this top edge. Oh yeah. Now let's head back over to the bench. Alright, so now that we're done sharpening, I've gone ahead and wiped off my stones with just a paper towel. And that's just to get some of the excess metal off of them. So then, the next thing that you're going to need is this thing right here. And this is a flattening stone. This one happens to be from Norton. So same thing applies here. Get the stone wet. This one soaks up water really well. So just be patient with it. I'm actually just going to pour this over it. Get it wet. Okay. So now I have my 1000 grit stone here. I can go ahead and take this, take it to the flattening stone. And as you can see right there, there's actually a suction created between these two pieces. I'm lifting it up. They're stuck together. And you should be clean at that point. We're just dirty from this. We're also going to take this one. This one does not require as much because it doesn't remove as much material, but the same thing applies. And you're done. So if you still have some water left over, which I do, I'm going to wet these again and grab some paper towels. I always do this after I sharpen, and I don't really have an answer as to why, other than next time I go to pick these up, I don't have to remember, ooh, did I flatten these the last time? Is it ready to go? I always know that it's ready to use and be used well. So basically I just like to dry these off, take good care of these things, and they'll last forever. Well, as long as the grit stuff lasts. That will wear down eventually. And I always put them back into their boxes that they came in. Same thing with this one. And you're done. Now, if you had the micron paper and you were sharpening with that, all you would do is just rinse it off, dry the paper off, and you're good to go. You don't have to flatten it, like I said. And then that is ready to use the next time that you use it. But if you have stones, then you need to go through the whole flattening process. You can either do that before or after you sharpen. I just do it before because I think it's easier to remember. Then last step is I try to kind of dab this off a little bit. It's not very important. And it can go right back in its case. So thank you guys for watching this video. I apologize for not being able to get a project video out this week, but just got real busy with school and stuff, so that will pick up again next week, the Sunday after Christmas, which is going to be the 27th of December. Until then, I wish everybody happy holidays, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great week.